Hey y'all, well, we've got lots of news coming to you about the Appalachian Trail. We got thru-hikers and a finished thru-hikers that aren't done yet. We got some news coming from our trail correspondents and ways that you can stay safe in New Hampshire when you're hiking through the White Mountains, or really anywhere in New Hampshire, but particularly on the Appalachian Trail. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So we've got Chase. He is back on trail. So Chase is working on finishing his thru hike, and he sends in this video.
Greetings, Ramdino. Thanks for all you do. This is Chase from Chase Life. We are headed south on the AT. We've completed the Triple Crown of Virginia. We're headed into Parisburg now. That's our quick update. Talk to you later.
Sonny Jim, he checks in from Mount Washington, so he has made it by now to the Lake of the Clouds hut, probably on a little beyond, but he made it there before the weather sunk in, and he's on track for Harper's Ferry to finish despite breaking a lot of gear. He sends in an update.
Hey there, Ramdino. Just a quick update. It's August 28th. Sonny Jim here, and I finally made the summit of Mount Washington, and I still now have to hike down like crazy to get down below tree lines before a storm hits. So we'll talk later.
And Dog Tag and his family, they report from 200 miles to go to Mama Kay. So they are heading into the 100-mile wilderness. So next update we get from them will be right when they come out, or probably be from the summit of Katahdin. So that is awesome to hear, and they send in their update.
Okay, Ramdino, Dog Tag here, checking in with the Tramily, and we are in the woods of Maine, and we have an iconic spot. Look, 2,000 miles on the AT. So for now, we'll check out, but thanks for everything that you do, and next one will be very close to Mama Kay. So for now, Dog Tag out. Peace out.
And Stick the Eagle, he's a prior thru-hiker, and he's working on another one, and he sends in an update. This time he is working on SOBO, and he has got a lot of great trail information, particularly about what's going on with the water sources up there in Massachusetts.
Hey Ramdino, it's Stick the Eagle here, right next to Goose Pond, heading to the Goose Pond Cabin Shelter here in Massachusetts. I've started my hike in Massachusetts, hiking northbound for now from Great Barrington. But what I wanted to tell you was that a lot of the water sources in Massachusetts are dry. There was water available at the AT Trail stand, and there'll be water at Goose Pond, but most of the springs listed on Far Out are either muddy puddles or completely dry. And for example, at Shaker Campsite, the water source claimed that there was a substantial stream a tenth of a mile north in the trail, and that substantial stream was a trickle. So things are dry out here, just beware of that. But there was a nice water cache at a road crossing a mile or so back, so that was good. So thank you to those trail angels who put those water caches out, like I remember in Pennsylvania last year. All right, happy trails, embrace the journey.
So thanks a lot to all those folks. Of course, we are getting down to the short rows now where we don't have near as many thru-hikers reporting in because they've all summited, right? Or a lot of them have. And so if you're still out there and a thru-hiker, we want to hear from you on how things are going out there on the trail conditions, particularly SOBO. We don't have a lot of SOBO right now, or a lot of flip-floppers, so love to hear from you. Now, we do want to go and give a huge shout out, huge congratulations to Drifter, Carry On, and Bandit. So that is the three-part tramily that is finished their thru hike now, and they have summited at Katahdin. Of course, Bandit didn't get to do that because Bandit is a dog or a fur baby, however you want to look at it. And so Baxter State Park doesn't allow dogs unless they're a service animal up there, and Bandit is not a service animal, although I am sure that Drifter and Carry On would argue that point, but he's not official. So appreciate that. But in any case, they have summited. They were number 392 and hiker number 393. Going to talk about that just a minute as soon as we hear from them on their summit video.
Ramdino's Drifter and Carry On here. We're in Millinocket the day after we've summited.
We are now officially thru-hikers.
We just figured we'd send you the update, and we'll put a picture right here. Yeah, we'll just let everybody know that we got an inch of rain 2 days before our summit, so the water should be flowing pretty good. And
It was a little better as we were ascending.
yeah, so you got that going for you. We summited; it was in and out of clouds. But we got a break and got our picture. And I'd like to give a shout out to Tie Dye if I could. It was a pleasure hiking with you. It was great walking up the Mount Washington. That was a great hike that day.
It was an awesome day.
Yep. So
Congratulations on his summit.
yeah, and to everybody else out there, you can do it.
Great job.
All right. Thank you for all you do, Ramdino. It's been a great year, and enjoy your hiking too. All right.
Peace.
Peace.
Greatly appreciate that. Of course, they were done by that time and already come down from Katahdin. But thanks a lot for sending that in, and huge congratulations to you, Drifter and Carry On, for finishing your hike. Now, kind of want to give you an update on where we are. On my last update from the trail, I indicated I was going to go back and do some research and find out where we are, how we compare now to how hikers have, the numbers have done over the past few years. And so Drifter and Carry On were number 32 and 392 and 393. And I looked at 2024, so we were somewhere in around the 370 this particular date last year. That's give or take a week, so that may account for the extra 20-ish in there, but looks like we are tracking with that number the same as we did last year. 2023, we were around 550-ish, and I couldn't go back and readily find my report for 2022, but 2021, we were around 550-ish. So this graph here kind of gives you a historical perspective of the registrations. This is not finishes. This is just registrations when folks left Amicalola Falls State Park or Springer, however they registered their NOBO. And this is just for NOBO. This doesn't include flip-floppers or SOBO, and it's only for the period between February and April. So looking at this, it looks like that we are somewhere down around 15% this year. Interesting enough, if you talk to trail service providers like hostel owners, shuttle owners, they feel like we're down more around 30 to 33%, almost a third out there. So that's pretty interesting that they feel that way, even though the numbers show that we're only down around 15%. And those numbers, so that's kind of a little conflicted because I'm not necessarily comparing apples to apples, but it's the best data I have. So I'm comparing people that have finished with the people that have registered. I'm looking at those percentages. So that's not entirely accurate way to do it, but we don't have a very accurate way to do it because it changes every year about who registers, obviously, and how many folks, how many folks are finishing. That depends on the severity of the year. Obviously, COVID is a completely different animal that you kind of have to throw that statistical anomaly just completely out the window. That kind of has slewed some things in our data points over the past couple of years because right after COVID, there was a lot of pent-up demand where people for the first, obviously during COVID when the ATC made everybody get off trail, and then for a couple years after it when we didn't know what was going to happen as far as, if the ATC and the National Forest Service were going to give people the go-ahead. And then right after we got through that time period, then we had Helene hit. And so a lot of people that I spoke with, they got off trail during Helene, or they decided not to do their 2025 thru hike because they wanted it to be a traditional thru hike in all regards and not with any type of detour or anything like that. And plus we didn't know what, at the time people were starting, we didn't know if they were going to be able to get through Tennessee anyway, with all of Helene. They didn't know if they were going to just completely close the trail and people had to shuttle around or not. That didn't happen, fortunately, but people planned ahead. They like to plan ahead. And so some folks just completely bailed on their hike. And then some folks turned it into a flip-flop or a SOBO because of that. Fortunately, the Tennessee Eastman Hiking Club, they got in there. They busted it, as did other hiking clubs as well. They got in and busted it, and the trail was clear for the most part when maybe not the real early folks got through there, but then that started early at Springer, maybe January, even early February. But for the main part of the bubble, they had it ready when folks came through them. So kudos to them for doing that. But leave a comment down below if you were a through hiker or even a lasher or section hiker that decided not to hike through, put your hike off. Or to change your route of hike due to what was going on through Tennessee and parts of North Carolina and Virginia with Hurricane Helene, those parts of the trail that we were left in limbo with, didn't know if they were going to open up or not. So leave a comment down below, or if you got any other comment, leave that down below as well. Love to have you subscribe to the channel. As a minimum, give me a thumbs up so that it'll drive the algorithm, drive more people like us to this channel, and we can continue to build the hiker community together. Let me get on with some news out there. So we've got Spineless Cougar. Of course, he is our Vermont Trail Angel correspondent. He sends the stats in every week, and he indicated that there are still dried up water sources up there in Vermont. So they have still not completely recovered from the drought that they had going on up north. However, they were expecting rain this past Friday, so look forward to seeing if that recharged any of the streams. I would strongly encourage you, if you're out there on the trail or getting ready to go on trail, make sure you look at Far Out comments if you have that app, and I recommend you have it. Make sure you look at the comments to kind of prepare yourself, particularly looking forward ahead up trail for whether or not you're going to have good water sources, so you can schedule water carries accordingly. And also, if you're out there on the trail and you go past a water source, leave a comment in the Far Out app. You can do that through their social media, and that lets other people know when they're coming through what they can expect, coming up a couple days, a week. I did that when I came back, when I was in PA a couple weeks ago, did that, and it was very, very helpful, the comments that people left. So let's keep on going with Spineless Cougar stats. So he had 2 hikers that left from Springer, and these are NOBO Pure is the stats I'm giving out. They left on May 10th. And then the rest of the hikers that he had there were several SOBO. There were some NOBO flippers and flip-floppers. And then there were some folks that are on the long trail. So they're not included in these stats. But I did see some growing numbers of SOBOs on his list. The lightest pack we had was 17.6, and that was NOMO, Nomad, and the heaviest was Who's Your Daddy, and that was a 40-pounder pack. So I made the comment last week about the delta between the heavy pack and the light pack. And one of the interesting comments I got that I had never thought of this before, but it's really cool. And that is that KT, who was somebody that obviously she's a through hiker, but she also watches the channel. Hey, KT. And she commented in the comment section below that the reason her pack was so light is because she had an injury, and the person that she was hiking with, that was Earthchild. Earthchild was her hiking partner, and Earthchild was carrying a good bit of weight, doubling Earthchild's weight to help ensure that KT made it to Katahdin. KT said, I would not have made it this far without her. That is so awesome. And just for you folks that don't know, that is what the hiker community does for each other. We look out for each other. We take care of each other. And that is awesome to see that happening out there. So Earthchild, thumbs up to you, and KT, thumbs up to you for driving through the pain and continuing to get past that and move on out there to Katahdin. That is really cool. And then Whispers, he's our northern correspondent up in the New Hampshire, New England states up there. He indicated that they had 2, he called them minor AT hiker rescues and search and rescue. And it just so happened that search and rescue up there in New Hampshire, that's how you folks say it up there. You don't say it New Hampshire like us folks down here around the start of the Appalachian Trail. That's not how we say it. But anyway, up there in New Hampshire, the search and rescue got a BOGO, buy one, get one. So they had 2 rescues when they went out for the first rescue. So Dennis, who is from North Carolina, his trail name is Zumi, and he started on February 12th as hiker number 106 down from at Amicalola Falls State Park, and he made it as far as the summit of North Kinsman. And he had a bad fall. So he was going up this rock face here somewhere, and it looks like it was as slick then as when he fell. And he fell back. And when he fell back, Now, keep in mind, I don't know if I mentioned before, but he is 73 years old. So that is awesome. Gives me hope, right? But he fell back, hit his elbow, hit his hip, and hit his head. And so that was quite a few injuries he had, and he did not have cell service, so he had to hit his Garmin bailout button and call for search and rescue. They indicated that if he couldn't walk out, that they would be there in it would probably take around 9 hours, and it would take them several hours to get to him. And so once they got to him, they treated him for his injuries, and then he was able to walk, although very slowly, and the walk out took him about 6 hours. Somebody sent in this picture here, and it looked like they're carrying an individual, but Zumi reported in his trail journal that he walked out for 6 miles. But once he got down there, and this was the Pimi Valley Search and Rescue volunteers that were able to get him out. And once he got down to Linwood Ambulance, and they transported him to Littleton Regional Hospital there, where he had serious but non-life-threatening injuries. But he did indicate that he had to have surgery. So he had a fracture to his hip. And the hip fracture, the doctors told him that he needed to have surgery within 48 hours, and so may not have been possible for him to get back to North Carolina in that time period, so he elected to have it up there. And he also had a plate and some screws installed. I've had a plate and screws installed, so I know exactly a little bit anyway of what you went through. It wasn't in my hip, obviously it's in my wrist, but anyway, Zumi. He also had 11 stitches in his head. He is now back home recuperating and working on his rehab. So glad that worked out for his benefit, and glad that he's okay with that. While the search and rescue were up there, they also encountered another Appalachian Trail thru-hiker. So Zumi obviously is a thru-hiker, but they came across another Appalachian Trail thru-hiker who had non-life-threatening injuries. That hiker was assisted down, so he got down. I'm assuming by assisted they mean under his own power, and he was also transported by Linwood Ambulance to the Littleton Regional Hospital. So I don't know if those two hikers got a buy one get one, a BOGO for hospital rooms or doctors, but he was treated, and my understanding was he was treated there, now been released, and he is back out on trail. So what you can do if you're hiking through New Hampshire, particularly on the Appalachian Trail and through the Whites, where there's a lot of slick spots, a lot of huge ups and downs, a lot of very stiff terrain and gradients, very steep gradients and terrains there. You can buy a hike safe card. So what the hike safe card basically is a get out of jail card free. So if you have to call search and rescue and they have to come get you for the low price of $25, you don't have to pay for that rescue. So my assumption is that the other two that had to get out, had to have help to get out, had to pay for their rescue, because the law says that the executive director shall bill the responsible person for such cost. So it doesn't matter if you were negligent or not, you're still going to have to pay. Now, the card gets you out of jail, gets you to where you don't have to pay for that search and rescue, only if you were not doing something stupid. So if you were up there, just misbehaving or doing something that you shouldn't have been done to cause that injury, not an accident, but legitimately something that was just really dumb, horse playing or something like that, jumping off down big sections, I would imagine qualifies, and anything stupid like that, they have the choice where they can bill you for that rescue. But if it's just an accident, then that card will prevent you from having to pay for that. So that is a good program. It supports the fish and wildlife as well as the hiking program up there in New Hampshire. So that is a small amount of insurance to pay for not having to pay for a $10,000, $20,000 rescue. If you have to be choppered out, like in the winter or something, or you can't walk at all, they can't move you, I can see it running a whole lot, doubling or tripling that cost to get a chopper in there. And then Whispers also sends along that the water levels there at the meter near the closed Peabody River Bridge, which is in the Great Gulf Wilderness, that is a bridge that is out because of structural issues. It looks like the part of the wood that supports it at the cables has worn out. And so the water levels there are low. And so the bridge is closed. The ATC's recommended a detour for that, but it is going through there. It looks like you can definitely ford that river right now. So need to, one, make sure you can. So if you get a lot of rain up there, you need to check those water gauges. But right now it's extremely low and should be no problem to ford that, where you don't have to take that detour. And Whiskers also indicated that Franconia Brook Tent Site, which is located on the east side of the trail in the Pemigewasset Ranger District, that's going to be reopening on Friday, August 29th. It's been closed due to bear activity there, but now it looks like they've decided to open it, that the bear has not been removed. But apparently they've been monitoring and the bear has not been around for a while. So not sure that's exactly smart to do it. You know, it could be they're just wanting to get people back out there because it's Labor Day weekend. I hope that's not the case. I hope it's legitimately because they know that the bear's not there. But unless he's tagged or something, I'd be curious to know how they know he's not there. And then Roll Tide sends in a note there from Smoky Mountains, Great Smoky Mountains National Park, that the road Newfound Gap is still closed, but it is going to be reopening the end of September. So they had a huge slide there, and they are in the process of clearing that slide, but looks like it's going to take longer than just picking up a bunch of dirt and stuff. So that is still closed. So if you're hiking in through the Smokies, you're not going to be able to get into Gatlinburg with a shuttle through Newfound Gap Road. You'll have to go to Cherokee, or you'll have to plan to keep on hiking all the way through. Folks, as I asked you before, please subscribe to the channel. Help bring other folks to this channel and bring them into the hiking community. Help me do that. Give me a thumbs up. And as always, appreciate you, and we hope to see you out here.